Hello and welcome to Lesson 8. My name is Avon and I'm going to be taking you through building out a marketing plan. So in order to target a niche, you need to have a marketing plan. If you're going to spend money on marketing, then you're going to need to have a marketing plan, because otherwise you're going to spend a lot of money on the wrong things and it's going to end up either shutting your business down, wasting tons of time and resources. So you need to make sure you get it right. Now, marketing is important, not just about getting customers, but sometimes people miss the other benefits that come with it. And that is reminding referral partners that you exist, or reminding past customers that they've done business with you and that maybe you're a good option to refer, or perhaps they want to do business with you again. So marketing not only targets new customers, it's not always aimed at getting new customer. Sometimes it's more effective with the people that you already know and the ones that you've already dealt with. It's just a way of achieving leverage in those conversations at scale. So first you have to understand the market around you. Now, this is either very complex or very simple. If you've already got customers, you can have a look in there and really understand exactly what people have bought from you and why. Maybe interview some of your customers, and that'll give you an indication of what other people might be interested in. If you're not sure you're going to try and develop a new market, you might have to go do surveys and interview people on the street. And it might be very hard to come across your ideal target market, particularly if you have a very niche service or something like that, where only a certain type of customer at a certain time of their life or business actually needs what you do. So sometimes it might be also looking at the competitors and see what kind of customers they have, and then see how you might be able to piggyback off some of the learnings that they've given. Look at McDonald's versus Hungry Jack's. Hungry Jack's has always been a shadow brand, and they pretty much just follow one step behind whatever McDonald's is doing. They've not really had to do much R&D, new market acquisition targeting, any kind of assessment. They basically see something and then they replicate it the next day. Not saying that you should do that for every customer or for every competitor that you have. However, it might be useful for you to get an understanding of where to start. So you've got your A-class customers, your B-class and your C-class. Your A-class are the ones that love you for you. They're okay if you change a price, if you can't get to them as fast as possible, because they really appreciate you and what you do. And yes, whether or not you believe it, you do have them. In the B-class customers, these are people who are generally okay. You know, they'll buy, they'll continue to work with you. But if they see a better offer, they're going to make a switch. They're not going to jump at the latest thing. But if it's compelling enough, they're not really loyal to you. They're going to get what's best for them. And then your C-class customers, the worst kind of customers you can have. And you probably got a lot of them. These ones are the ones that are absolutely fickle. They will drop you at a moment's notice if something else looks better or cheaper. So making sure that you are focusing on your A-class customers, and if you get the B's and C's, great, but just focus on your A's and your business will be much, much better. This is kind of like focusing on the Pareto principle, which is the 80-20 rule. So 80% of your work and money and value comes from 20% of your customers. So all the rest are either noise or in the way, or just an inconvenient truth that you have to deal with in order to get back to focusing on those key customers that really bring in the revenue. Now, a lot of time I see people focus on demographics as the way to organize their customers, but I think that's one of the worst metrics. There's so many better things out there. Yes, it's important. You know, I'm not going to try and sell something that I would sell to a teenager, like toys or games or something like that, to someone who's just about to go into retirement that is not really relevant for them. So demographics can be really important based on the type of product or the type of customer, but it's not really how you should purely segment your marketing. It's only a small part of a much bigger question. Another great way to do it is psychographics or ethnographics. Psychographics is how people think. You know, are they predisposed to being angry, or are they predisposed to being empathetic or something like that? Whereas a ethnographic profile is things that people believe and align with. For example, what football team do they go for? Do they like football, or do they like rugby, or do they like soccer, or do they call soccer football? You know, these are the things that align people as opposed to demographics or ethnographics. You could have a lot of people aligned to a particular way of thinking that come from a ton of different walks of life. For example, aligning over a football team, you might have anywhere from a plumber to a lawyer to a school teacher these are all people that might go for one particular football team or one particular type of sport they really like and align with. So that is a way to group people in a much more intelligent way. And you need to be looking at multiple layers of these groupings. Otherwise, it's not really going to have an impact. Another important thing to do is to try and understand where these people, this group of people that are likely to buy your product or service, hang out. Because that's where you're going to have to market. Are they mostly on LinkedIn? Are they mostly on Facebook? Are they mostly sitting on a park bench and so you can put a billboard next to it? Are they reading a particular type of magazine, or do they go to a particular type of conference or event? Or maybe you can put up banners at the sporting field or something like that. These are the things that are going to grab those people's attention. But sometimes you also need to play with what are they going to be most receptive to? Is it just by putting the materials out there that they see them, that's going to make them buy that thing? Or maybe if these people are on both LinkedIn and Facebook, maybe in the Facebook they're hanging out with friends, they're looking at dumb videos, unwinding in the evening. They don't really want to be looking at your B2B service product over in this other space. That's probably better served on LinkedIn, where people are in that frame of mind. They're thinking about work. Whereas in their personal time, they don't want to see an ad. They're just scrolling through, looking at entertainment value stuff. So understanding where your market hangs out and what state of mind they're in when they do hang out is probably more valuable. The other thing is, how valuable is that target market? You might get a large volume of numbers, but not actually get any customers. So if you look at prestige cars, for example, Lotus, Ferrari, etc., you don't generally see TV ads for them. Yes, they're going to reach a huge audience of people on TV, and lots of people will go, wow, I love that car, it looks so good. But almost none of those people actually have the budget to buy that product. So generally high-powered individuals that are more interested in building companies or going on adventures or things like that, flying in on their helicopter, they're not the ones watching TV. They're going to events like horse racing or physical like marathons and other car races and other kind of events like that. Those are the ones that are really going to attract the right type of person. For example, yacht shows. Anyone with a lot of money that's looking at buying a yacht, if there happens to be a car there as well that looks kind of cool, they might actually go and buy a matching yacht to go with the car, or a matching car to go with the yacht. Either way, you're more likely to attract your target value audience, even though you're going to get the volume from TV, from radio, from wherever else. So hand in hand with the value audience, you also need to reverse engineer what you actually need to do to run a business. So if you understand what kind of marketing you need to do, what kind of sales you need to make, what kind of sales staff, equipment, people, all these sorts of things that you're going to have, you need to understand the numbers that you need to close. So you might sell, or you might advertise to a high volume of people and only sell 50 things. Or maybe a low volume, you might sell 50 things at a very high price, but maybe there's a market for a low price product at scale. This is something that you're going to have to test, and it's going to be unique to that particular product or service, but you need to kind of reverse engineer it based on the type of money you want to make. Otherwise, you're not really thinking far enough in advance. So if you are market planning, you are planning to be profitable in your business, not just planning to produce marketing in the hope that you'll sell something. So if you understand how much you have to sell a product for to make enough margin to basically be somewhat competitive in the marketplace, but also make some money, then you need to understand how many you can actually convert practically within your operational cycle. That'll help you understand how many leads you need and what quality of lead that you need to get. And then you can start aiming for that. So if you need to make 5 new sales calls every week in order to make enough money to close enough deals to be profitable and continue operation and or grow, then you know roughly that if your conversion rate is 2%, then you need X amount of leads at the top of the funnel. So that's how much you should be targeting when you're doing your market planning. And sometimes if you're doing a self-liquidating offer, you know that acquiring the customer costs a certain amount of dollars, and then gaining the customer a little bit more on a regular basis might be worth a lot more money. So once you've maximized the lifetime value of a customer, now you can equate that into the marketing, and all of a sudden it's actually worth a lot more money to you. So it's worth marketing and investing a lot more to be able to get that lifetime value times more customers. Otherwise, if you're just looking at that initial sale that occurs, if there is an initial sale at all, then you're kind of short-sighted in your approach to it, and you're not really going to look at how much you should invest. And remember, I say invest, not spend, because marketing is an investment, not a cost. It's going to pay off in the future, but you need to be consistent. Another thing you can do is, if your marketing is actually turning out to be quite effective, but you can't keep up with sales, is use price as a regulator. Obviously, if you're in high demand and you've got a good quality product, you can up the price and then you'll make more money, and then you'll be able to serve more clients faster, or cut the ones out that are not necessarily well converting. So maybe conversion might increase if you drop the prices, but that's actually going to cause you more heartache. So your conversion percentage should be based on quality, not on changing the price. Sometimes I've seen where people have motivated their sales teams based on number of transactions. It meant that they discounted everything, and then the business was making no money at the end of the day. What you're better off doing is incentivizing sales teams based on gross profit. If there's no gross profit, they make no sale commission. If there is gross profit, the more they have, the more sales commission that they make. So that then means that they are incentivized both to have a number of transactions, but also a quality of transaction. We don't just want to make money for the sake of it. And when in your sales process, one of the best things you can do is just ask questions. How did you hear about us? What made you decide to reach out to us? What are the things that really attracted you to our brand? These sorts of things help give you real-time feedback to understand what were those little marketing touch points that really cut through to the right person at the right time to make them come and buy from you. Also, you can't just go all out on one channel. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Sometimes people will hear the radio ad, they'll walk past a billboard, they'll read it in a magazine, and then they'll get online and then they'll click buy on their phone. Now, the average person would say, well, I got all the sales online, so I'm going to stop all the other marketing. But what that's going to do is, yes, you had that digital attribution, all of that sale happened online, but it does not equate for the marketing journey that they went through when they saw object or item 1, 2, or 3 in the lead up to that moment when they decided to click buy. Maybe it was on their mind. They were thinking about it. They talked to somebody on the phone or at a meeting or a barbecue or something like that. And then when it came up, that moment, that call to action, that's when for them the penny dropped and they said, yes, I'm going to get my card out and I'm going to buy this thing right now. So don't take that very last step in a long chain of actions as the sole thing that made them reach out. When you ask them, they're going to say, I saw the ad online. Dig a little deeper. So if you're going to ask them, say, did you see any other marketing materials? Can you think back to what your experience was leading up to buying this thing? What made you decide? Did you talk about it with anybody? Ask open questions. Ask to find out. Don't ask to validate or confirm information that you think you already know, because it's much better to hear it from them than it is to try and put words in their mouth. Another great question is in terms of understanding your niche or your unique selling proposition, is to understand what made them choose you over somebody else. So why us? Was it the price? Was it the quality? What was the deciding factor? It could be something altogether different. I know that with myself, we're a veteran-owned business, and I know that people have chosen us purely based on that, as opposed to somebody else who's in the competition. So we make sure that it's known that we run a veteran-owned business. It's not primary to our marketing, but it certainly does help when people are trying to evaluate between two very similar products. And again, that's an ethnographic alignment. That is not something that is going to sway everybody. There might just be someone who's particularly patriotic or aligned to a particular type of thinking. That's what's going to drive them over the line. When people are looking to buy from you, they are effectively trying to mitigate risk. If it's a service-based business, what they're going to try and do is going to look for testimonials or some form of evidence that the output was worth the money and that the journey was good. Because when people buy a service, it generally can't be repeated, can't be reused, cannot be experienced by anyone else except for that person in that moment. So people are looking for indicators. They're looking for a way to kind of show them that it's going to be all right. If one person bought the thing and they went, yeah, it was good, that's not really enough evidence. You're going to try to get a few early wins, and those early wins are going to help win more wins later. So if you've got one review versus if you've got 20 reviews or 50 reviews or 1,000 reviews, then it's just going to make the next person more confident that they're making the right decision. You could also look at making a guarantee. So a guarantee doesn't always have to mean, your money back or any of that sort of stuff. It could be funny. It could be something that is just reducing the risk or the perceived risk of an interaction with the client. So for example, if you're a plumber, you could say, we guarantee that our staff will wear a belt. So you're not going to get the plumber's crack in your face when they're on site. So a simple guarantee like that, or maybe we'll turn up on time or your pizza is free. Things like that. These sorts of things, the indicators that the quality of the product or service are going to be good. And you might default on that. You might have to refund one or two people. But what that's going to mean is you've reduced the risk barrier to entry so that these people are going to more easily make the decision to purchase from you. So you might make an extra 50 sales for that one person that you had to refund. So is it worth it? More than likely, yes. Also, when doing your marketing, volume is not the objective. You could be sitting in a room full of 10 people, and if they are the right people, all of them could buy. Whereas if you're sitting in a room of 1,000 people, all of them could be wrong. So it's not the numbers that makes the difference. It's the quality of the type of person that you're looking to buy from and how prepped and prepared they are to be ready to buy from you. So if you're targeting the right person at the right time with the right product or service, it's going to be a no-brainer. So if you're standing in the middle of the desert and you've got one person crawling through and you've got one bottle of water, they're going to buy that bottle of water. If they're absolutely thirsty, crawling through the desert, sweating and really, really parched, then they're going to buy that bottle of water. There's no competition. They're in the right frame of mind for wanting that bottle of water. But if you're in the middle of a ice glacier with beautiful water flowing everywhere and there's 1,000 people looking around all in their puff jackets with a cup in their hand because they just had a hot chocolate, there's no good selling them water. They're probably just going to dip into the stream and get some natural mountain glacier water. So it's about product promotion, price, and place. Being highly targeted is really, really effective way of making sure that your ad spend is really low and that your close rate is going to be much, much higher. When we think about integrated marketing, we said before, don't put all your eggs in one basket, but integrated marketing means that generally things across multiple channels perform better than if it was wholly focused on one channel. So by having an email, a text, a social media message, a call is much better than just doing one call or 5 calls, because those multiple channels is where they get to experience and interact with your brand on a number of levels and become familiar. Once they're familiar, then it's a much easier proposition because you're not some strange new entity. They feel as though they've built a relationship with you in some way, shape, or form. No matter how small it is still much more beneficial than if you were to go in there cold for the first time. Also, if you are email marketing, for some reason, email marketing platforms have decided to call an email campaign a campaign. The definition of a campaign is a series of goals or actions that lead to an ultimate result. So in a military campaign, that's a number of battles to win a war. Whereas in a marketing campaign or in an email campaign, it's generally one email. So that's not really correct. You need to do a number of actions over a period of time in different areas to achieve the end result, which is convincing that human to pull out their wallet, to pull out their money, and to hand it over in return for your product or service. That's not easily done. It's not as simple as asking immediately for it or as sending an email and expecting an instant return. Sometimes people pay money for ads and expect, I put $1 in, I'm going to get $2 or $3 out. You actually need to convince someone of something. It's a lot harder than you think. But if you go in with the right expectation, if you go in with the right plan, then you're actually going to do a much better job and significantly grow your business. Remembering that it's an investment and that you need to plan and measure twice and cut once. Remember that marketing is about communication at scale. Have a look at who you are talking to, about what and how. If I was going to write an email to someone who's 16 as opposed to 60, I'm probably going to use different language, particularly if I want to get them to do something or ask them for money. So you need to be understanding of your target audience. How are they going to be spoken to? I might talk to a mechanic different to the way I talk to a doctor or a lawyer. This is not to be disrespectful to the mechanic or to the lawyer. It's just that they expect communication in a different way. And if you cross the streams, then it's probably not going to work as effectively. So remember that a marketing plan whilst it's an exercise that seems like it's going to cost you time and money, is actually more effective than if you were to just go and spend time and money building ads for the wrong person and at the wrong budget at the wrong time and just wasting tons and tons of money. It can get really, really expensive really quickly. So measure twice, cut once, do your marketing. Thank you for watching and take care.